HowtoGYST in the frat house. We are here to talk about One Book July 20... We are here to talk about One Book July... We are here to hopefully uninterrupted talk about One Book July 2018. Yay! Liam is clearly as excited about it as the rest of us. So if you haven't watched Rhomany's intro video, I will link to it down below. She explains everything beautifully, as usual. But we have 4 of us kind of doing 4 separate things involving digital planning and journaling. Okay? So as usual, there are no rules. For me, at least in my take, my view, my perspective or opinion, whatever you want to call it, One Book July, for me, it started as 1 book and 1 pen for 1 month. And if that's what you want to do for One Book July, go for it. That's still totally open, obviously, because there are no rules. But the no rules thing to me, and I can understand why that might confuse some people because it's a challenge, right? So how are there no rules? The challenge is to kind of set yourself a challenge, some kind of planning or journaling challenge, whatever that might be. And to do it during the month of July, because there are a lot of other people also choosing and doing their own challenges during July. So even if it's not the same challenge as someone else, you still have this great support system, right? So every year we kind of have, as it's evolved, we've kind of chosen a sort of focus or a new thing to try to do. And Rhomany lists all of those in her intro video beautifully, so I'm not gonna mess with that because I will probably mess it up. But this year we're doing Let's Get Digital. So if you're interested in digital planning or journaling, that's kind of what the 4 of us are gonna cover. Now I keep saying the 4 of us because we are so lucky to have added Mimi to the crew. So Mimi is going to be doing like the hardcore digital planning. She does a ton of stuff digitally. She's very informed, very educated as far as the digital planning thing goes. So she's a really good addition this year. So Rhomany is going to be, as she says in theory, doing digital journaling, kind of messing about, playing about, showing you guys some different stuff as far as digital journaling goes, okay? Vicky is going to be doing kind of the introductory digital planning. She's brand new to it. She's been kind of tinkering around with it. So if you're new, if you have questions, if you kind of want to see some of what's out there, if you want to see how somebody new kind of navigates what's out there as far as digital planning goes, excuse me, I'm sorry, pollen either hates or loves me. I'm not sure which yet. But Vicky would be the one you want to watch for, you know, the kind of I'm new to digital planning stuff, okay? And as I said, Mimi is doing the, I don't want to say advanced because that makes it sound overwhelming, and I'm sure it won't be, maybe the more in-depth digital planning stuff. I will be doing the hybrid digital analog planning. I'm basically going to take the month to show you guys in depth what I normally do, which isn't really a challenge for me because I'm just going to do what I normally do. So part of my challenge this year will be to get all of the videos up. Last summer was freaking hard. And I did not get nearly as much One Book July done as I wanted to. I had, end of May, beginning of June last year, I had an adrenal crash and it was just bad, and I recommend an adrenal crash to no one. Don't do it if you don't have to. It was, no, seriously, it was not good. So, so this year, that's part of my challenge, is to get all of my videos up on time. But because I'm doing this hybrid digital paper planning thing, I wanted to show you guys just basically my full-on setup and system, the apps I already use, but then I also want to explore some apps that I've been curious about. I just came off of Instagram Live where I said you guys direct message me. You can message me here on YouTube if you want. Any apps that you're curious about. And I'm going to be adding digital tracking because, as I said in my IG Live, I am terrible at tracking on paper like a habit tracker, mostly because a lot of my habits are like housekeeping stuff. And if I put all of the housekeeping stuff in my planner, I don't even want to freaking look at it because I find it just like, oh, it's all housekeeping. It's all cleaning stuff. So I have those mornings down pat. I have a morning routine, I have an afternoon routine, I have an evening routine. It's always the same. The tasks are pretty much always the same. The time might vary a little bit depending on everybody's schedules here, but I do the same stuff in the morning and then in the afternoon and then in the evening to try to keep on top of this place. If you looked at this place, you wouldn't think anybody was doing anything but making a mess. But we're in the middle of moving some of the boys' bedrooms right now. So like this area right here is the only clean spot. It's not the only clean spot. I shouldn't say that. Everything's a disaster right now. I can't wait to have these bedrooms moved and all this furniture moved and all these belongings moved. But like as far as routines go, morning, afternoon, and evening, as far as house, you know, cleaning, maintenance stuff, I always do the same stuff. So I keep that out of my planner. I just do it. I don't need to write it down. My habit trackers on paper tend to be task lists. They always kind of have been. I just don't do well with tracking on paper. I just don't. And when I did my collab video with Laura, which I will link down below, and we've done 2, the second one, my part of it was things I do plan digitally. And I know in the comments of that video, a couple people had recommended some digital tracking apps. So that is going to be part of my challenge for One Book July, is going to be using the tracking apps digitally that I find that I like for the entire month. And if I find an app and I like it in a weekend, I'm like, ooh, I don't like this at all, I like this one better, I'll change the app possibly, but still continue the tracking, if that makes sense. So what you will be seeing, first of all, you will be seeing a setup of this. And yes, it is a personal size. If you see my Instagram at all, you know that I've been in pocket size. I cannot do project planning in pocket size. I kind of knew I wouldn't be able to do project planning in pocket size. I mean, it's doable. It's not that it's not doable, but the page size is so small that like for one Book July video, it was pages upon pages upon pages of pocket size paper, and it was just making me batty, just battier than usual. So I moved into a personal size. So this will be my planner. One planner, that's all that's in here. All the planning is in here except for the stuff that I always do digitally, and I will show you that stuff. So there'll be this, and I will be posting a setup video just of this. I'll probably call it Summer 2018 Planner Setup. So I know a lot of you guys have asked for a setup video. That is coming. I'm finally very, very happy with the way this is set up. And then this is my journal. I'll be using this. I tend, if I'm planning in rings, I don't journal in rings. I journal in a bound book. So I end up with 2 books, but there's no planning going on in here. All the planning's in here. Journaling, I never show. It's not like aesthetically pleasing in any way. It's scribbles. It's a bunch of scribbles. But in here's my journal. Maybe I'll show some. It's literally just scribbles. This is an A6 size Chic Sparrow, Mr. Darcy, and Toffee that I have rolled the dickens out of. I've completely rolled the heck out of this thing. Charm from 2 Weeks on Mars, because I have to show you that because she is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then in here I have, I'll just give you a quick glimpse in case I don't show it again during July. This was a prototype, so it has the vertical pockets. The front insert is, what do I have in the front insert? Oh, that's like writing stuff. The center insert is an A6 size Stylogy notebook. That's my journal. And then the back insert is just notes from books that I've read, or am reading, I should say. So that is it. That's all that's in there. Nothing fancy, nothing pretty except for the insert covers that are from Digital Designs by Jody on Etsy. Like, that's the only pretty thing in there. And some of the stuff in the front too is very pretty. That's what the pockets are for. So that's it. I may not be showing any of that just because there's literally like nothing to show. But it benefits me greatly to do these 2 things separately. So all the planning's in here, all the journaling's in here. We will also be looking at apps on the phone, which I left over there. I was gonna hold it up and go, we'll be looking at stuff on here, but it's over there. I just noticed there's a funny looking, And then I'll be showing you stuff on the laptop. We're going to talk about definitely OmniFocus, Evernote, and Fantastical 2. The Fantastical 2 is the app that everybody here uses Google Calendar, and we funnel it all into Fantastical 2 because we have such a big family. We can all see, you know, when Mike is traveling, if he's got clinic hours, you know, when one of our boys goes away to school, about an hour away during the school year to university. So weekends he's planning on coming home. The boy's very good about calling me. He's very good. He calls me every couple of days. But he still does put it in the calendar just so that I see it and I know, because I have to go pick him up and take him back when the weekend's over. So if he's coming home for the weekend, work schedules, school stuff, when projects are due for the kids for school, when they have days off, I put all that in there so we can all see what everybody's doing. So I will be shutting off when we look at Fantastical 2. I'll probably be turning, that's the one nice thing about it, if it's really, because we have a lot of calendars dumping in there, it can get cluttered. But you can turn off and on different calendars. So I will turn off Mike's calendar for that just because he has hockey players' names in there and clinic patients' names in there and all that. So I'll be shutting that off, but everything else will be fine. And I'll show you how that works. OmniFocus and Evernote are 2 of like my biggest like planning allies in the digital world. And as we delve into other apps, maybe things I'm not familiar with, I'd like to look at maybe some list making apps. especially for things like grocery lists, things like that you want to add to quickly, check off quickly, that kind of thing. I used to do my grocery lists digitally all the time until Liam got to be about 2 years old, and it just wrangling a 2-year-old sitting in the seat in the cart with my phone, and like I knew I was going to drop my phone and break it. I'm a klutz. So I went back to paper grocery lists, but there are a ton of really cool list making apps out there, so we'll look at some of that. When we do the OmniFocus and the Evernote thing, like those are 2 apps that can get expensive. I've had OmniFocus for a really long time. I got it when it was a lot less expensive than it is now, and I did just do the update to it. So that's 2 things I want to say about both OmniFocus and Evernote. They can get expensive. Evernote does have a free option. OmniFocus I have to look at, to be really honest with you, to see if it has a free option or not, because they just did an update, and I swear I saw something in there about, it might be a free trial. We'll look at that a little bit closer. So that's the one thing I want to say about it, is there are other project planning apps, and there are other apps like Evernote that are free. They may not have all the extra, bells and whistles that OmniFocus and Evernote have, but we'll see. If you guys know of any, like I said, drop them into my direct messages at Instagram. It's just at Carrie Harling, or here on YouTube. That would be great. I want to keep the apps that we're talking about. I want to get as much in as we can of things that are like free, so they're accessible to everybody. Lord knows we live on a budget. So and the other thing I want to say about OmniFocus and Evernote is I personally do not use all of the bells and whistles that both of those apps provide. If I delve into a new app, especially something like OmniFocus that has that potential for being so organized, or like that just ticks every box in my brain. I love to organize and make lists and make subtasks, and that makes my brain so happy. And it has so many bells and whistles in it that it actually can become overwhelming. Both of those apps can be like that. I learned a long time ago. OmniFocus has evolved a lot. Evernote has evolved a lot. They both offer a lot of things, options that you can do with them that I don't need. So I just don't use them, and I'm okay with that. That was kind of my biggest thing, is I'll get overwhelmed. I want to learn everything, every little intricacy about how this app works. I want to make sure I'm using it to its fullest potential, which is fine. But I was better off just kind of diving in, using it as I needed it, and then as I found a new need may come up, I would look at the apps I already had, like OmniFocus and Evernote, and see, I already have these. Can these apps meet this need? And then first of all, I wasn't downloading yet another app to use to meet that need. These are apps I've already paid for, so I may as well use them to their fullest potential. But I really want to stress, like, try not to get overwhelmed, because they can be overwhelming, and that's okay. They can feel overwhelming because both of those apps offer a lot of, in my brain, what I call extra stuff, and it's extra stuff because I just don't use it. It's not necessary for me. But the best thing I can say about the digital planning, especially OmniFocus and Evernote, is they have streamlined the heck out of this. So I wanted to dive into that with you guys this month. If there are ways that you can streamline your system, or physically streamline what you're carrying with you, that's been the 2 biggest things that digital planning has done for me. I don't have to carry all the reference stuff in here that I used to carry. Really important documents that you could possibly need at a moment's notice. It's possible. Usually really, really important documents you don't need like that, but it could happen. It can all be scanned into Dropbox or Evernote or both. I tend to do them in both because I like to have backups of backups. So I want to show you guys kind of how those apps help me streamline this. Also how there are some ways that my brain works better planning some things digitally. My brain works better planning other things on paper, like my day-to-day schedule, my task lists, my calendars, things like that. I am much better off on paper. That's just the way my brain has always worked. I did the full-on digital planning thing a few years ago. Granted, there's a lot more available now than there used to be. And my brain did not like the process with the digital planning. I like the physical process. And honestly, I like leather and paper and pens, and it makes me happy. And a lot of times the stuff that we have to do in our planners, that some of the tasks we have written down, if we're honest with each other, are not things we're looking forward to. Sometimes we have to adult, right? And work stuff and all the house cleaning stuff and stuff like that. Sometimes having that stuff on inserts that work well for you, with a pen that you like, in a package that you like, makes doing that stuff just a little more palatable, right? So there's that aspect of it too. So I hope you join us for One Book July this year. Share with us what you're choosing to do for your challenge. Like I said, if you haven't yet, watch Rhomany's intro video because she runs through everything, the whole history of One Book July. So you can, if you kind of want to participate but you don't know what you want to do, go through that list and kind of see. If there's nothing in what she lists in that video that's kind of going off, oh yeah, I could do that. Think about if there's something in your planning system that you feel you need to change, something that's maybe bothering you, or a gap that your planning system isn't meeting, and see if for a month you can find a way to close that gap. Maybe there's something new you want to try. Maybe you've wanted to try bullet journaling. Maybe you've wanted to try, different digital journaling, or maybe you want to try just a different size even. Maybe you want to go from rings to strings or vice versa. Go from a bigger book to a smaller book or vice versa. Those are all things that are absolutely applicable for One Book July, and it's a great time to do it because we have lots and lots of backup, right? We have lots of support right now. So I've been so happy to see videos going up already and comments on the Facebook page. I will link I'll put a link to the Facebook page down below as well. Once we get enough subscribers, I gotta backtrack a second, that's gonna be confusing. We have a dedicated One Book July YouTube channel, which is, oh my gosh, going to be so great. Once we get enough subscribers, we can use the community tab, and then everything can go through YouTube. So if you post a video or a post on Facebook or on your blog or wherever, Instagram, use the hashtag OneBookJuly2018. We do have a playlist. We have several playlists. All of our One Book July videos for all these years are on that dedicated YouTube channel for One Book July. I'll put the link for that down below. And so you can see a whole whack of stuff in one place regarding One Book July, okay? Plus the current stuff from all of us as well. And I think, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think there might even be a playlist set up on there where if you use the hashtag OneBookJuly2018, your video will get added to that playlist for this year as well. So I think I covered everything. I'm not 100% sure because this is not the first time I've had to film this. But if you guys have any questions, let me know, and we'll be posting videos like crazy. All right, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.